And many Americans wonder if the Ottawa shooting could inspire similar violence right here in the U.S. Security officials say there's good reason to worry. Bob Orr is in Washington with the reasoning behind the alarm. Bob, good morning.
Good morning. Well, indeed, the attack in Canada now is increasing concerns about potential copycats here in the U.S. Law enforcement officials tell us they're most worried about a homegrown violent extremist, what we call a lone wolf sometimes, who might decide that this just happens to be the right time to strike out in the name of ISIS or perhaps another terror group. Now, the threat from these self-radicalized Americans is not new, but in recent weeks, we've seen ISIS cranking up the propaganda campaign, urging attacks on U.S. and Western targets wherever and whenever possible. And now ISIS is on the record praising the Ottawa shooting as a good example of what followers can and should do. Sources say the FBI right now is watching a number of Americans, perhaps a few dozen or so, who've either tried to go to Syria or who have gone and have already come back home. Those who are showing a desire to join the jihad are under varying degrees of surveillance and investigation.
One day after a lone wolf terror attack in Canada, a man suspected of terror ties here attacks police with a hatchet in New York City. The attack happened in broad daylight this afternoon. Authorities are investigating a possible terror connection now, as Fox News has learned that the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force is on the scene.
Megan, Fox News senior correspondent Rick Leventhal has confirmed that the New York Police Department is seriously considering a possible terror connection to this attack. Now, it happened in a very busy commercial district of Queens. A freelance photographer actually asked those 4 rookie police officers to pose for a picture. That's when the man pulled an 18-inch hatchet out of a black backpack, and without saying anything, he attacked the officers. One, as you said, hit in the arm, another in the back of the head. That officer listed as critical but stable. The other 2 officers shot and killed the suspect. One of their bullets hit a woman walking by. Her injury not life-threatening. But police now tell Fox the suspect's Facebook page has some very concerning content, including a statement that says, quoting here, "The solution is to fight. Armed struggle, simple." Then another statement that seems to support homegrown attacks, saying, again, quoting here, "Helicopters, big military will be useless on their own soil. They will not be able to defeat our people if we use guerrilla warfare. Attack their weak flanks. If you get wounded, who cares? If you die, who cares? Eventually, they will surrender, and then the war will be over." Now, NYPD won't release the suspect's name because his family has not yet been notified, but New York police have issued a patrol bulletin alerting officers to be in a state of heightened awareness. And there is also a report that New York police are conducting a large-scale operation near the site of the attack. But this, Megan, marks the 3rd potential terror attack in North America in just 4 days.
Here are 4 rookie cops just starting out their career. When the absolute unexpected happened, they responded in a way that really shows the power of not only their abilities and their commitment, but their training. They responded exactly as their training dictated.
A male, who has not yet been positively identified, charged at the officers with a hatchet in his hand. Unprovoked and not speaking a word, the male then swung at one of the officers with the hatchet, striking his right arm. After striking that officer, the suspect continued swinging the hatchet, striking a second officer in the head, causing him to fall to the sidewalk. As he continued his assault, the remaining 2 officers then fired multiple times on the armed suspect, who fell to the ground, dropping the hatchet. The suspect was pronounced dead at the scene.
This was a brazen attack, a shocking attack in broad daylight on a street in Queens, New York. There were 4 NYPD police officers. They were walking. They were recent graduates of the academy. Someone asked them to stop to take a photograph. They stopped, and this is when this man who you've seen in that video came up and attacked them. The police do not believe that the person who asked them to stop to take that photograph involved in any way. In fact, he's been cooperating with them. But as you can see in that video, then he came up swinging that axe. As he did, he managed to hit one of the policemen in his arm, the other one, unfortunately, in his head. And it's that police officer who's now in critical condition. Now, what concerns NYPD police, particularly following the attack in Ottawa, where you are now, Anderson, is that they looked at his social media, his Facebook page, his postings on YouTube and elsewhere, and those gave them concern about possible motivation tied to Islamic extremism. They're still investigating it, But those things that they saw on the Facebook page, YouTube postings, etc., gave them that concern, and they're looking into it. Now, as a result of that, this attack, what they saw on social media, as well as the attacks, well, in fact, 2 attacks this week in Canada, they have since issued a bulletin to all officers in New York asking them to increase their situational awareness to look out for attacks like this. They're taking this very seriously, Anderson, and it's exactly the kind of attack that many intelligence officials that I've been speaking to are concerned about. Lone wolf attacks, very hard to predict, very easy, unfortunately, to carry out.